Welcome to Post-Trauma Secrets and Decluttering Podcast. This is a season full of surprises. You will learn tons of story and information about the holistic decluttering journey, about letting go of trauma and clutter and taking back control over life and home. This season is particularly special because I shared a mic with one of our extraordinary students. I had the chance to witness her amazing transformation, to see her take control of her life and find peace and joy. I'm so grateful that she accepted to interview me. So as a church pastor, Reverend Tammy was trusted by her congregation to care for them in their darkest moment. As she cared for others, she was living in her own dark story. At the age of 30, she was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, and find coping with the life's simplest tasks can become difficult and taking more of her energy. She decided that nothing was going to take her life from her and began a journey of recovery and created a life that is thriving. Thank you for joining us, Tammy.
Thank you, Valerie. Welcome back, listeners, to our enlightening podcast series. Last time, we had the pleasure of diving deep with Valerie from the Doers Academy into the intricacies of stress management and its profound impact on our mental and physical well-being. Valerie shared invaluable insights and practical strategies for managing stress, emphasizing the importance of balancing our daily lives to maintain mental health and inner tranquility. Today, we are pivoting to a fascinating and often overlooked topic: the missing link between clutter and trauma. This is a realm where physical and psychological elements intertwine, profoundly impacting our lives. We'll explore how clutter, which is often considered just a physical issue, can be deeply rooted in emotional experiences and trauma. Understanding this connection can be a game changer in how we approach decluttering, not just in our physical spaces, but also in our minds and emotions. Stay with us as we unravel the complex relationship with Valerie, whose expertise in holistic decluttering at the Doers Academy provides unique insights into how addressing both clutter and trauma can lead to comprehensive and lasting changes in our lives. So let's get ready to connect the dots and discover how decluttering can go beyond the physical, potentially leading us to a path of deeper healing and self-discovery. Valerie, before we begin talking about the link between trauma and clutter, can you give us a description of clutter?
For sure. When we talk about clutter, we're talking about having too many things around you that you don't really use or need. It's like when your room is so full of stuff that you can't find what you're looking for, like your keys or your cell phone, or you feel like you don't have enough space to do things comfortably. Clutter isn't just about physical objects like clothes and papers or toys. It can also be digital, like having too many emails, photos, or files on your computer or your phone. But clutter isn't just about things. It can also be about having too many thoughts or worries in your mind that make you feel overwhelmed or stressed. Just like a messy room can make you feel cramped, a cluttered mind can make it hard to think clearly or feel calm. So when we're talking about clutter, It's all about having more stuff physically or mentally than what makes you comfortable or happy. It's important because too much clutter can make you feel stressed or stuck, and it can get in the way of enjoying your life or doing things you want to do.
Sounds like a serious issue when it's interfering with the joy that you want to experience in your life. Valerie, are there different levels of clutter? Can clutter become dangerous?
Absolutely. There are different levels of clutter, and yes, it can become dangerous if it gets too extreme. Let's break this down into simple terms. First, they are the mild clutter level. This is like when your room is a bit messy. Maybe clothes are piled up or your desk is covered with papers. It's the kind of clutter you can clean up in an afternoon. It may make it a bit hard to find things, but it's not too serious. Then there's moderate clutter. This is when the mess starts to take over more space. Maybe several rooms in your house are cluttered, or you have whole things you don't use anymore taking up lots of space. This level of clutter can make it hard to use your space properly. You may not use your dining table because it's always covered in stuff, or you can't use a closet because it's too full. That would be moderate clutter. There are multiple rooms. And then there's the most serious level is extreme clutter. This is when the amount of stuff really starts to affect your life. It may be hard to move around in your house, like having only pathway, or rooms can be used for their intended purpose, like cannot be used for their intended purpose. In extreme case, like with hoarding, it can be dangerous. There can be fire risk, tripping hazards, or health issues from dust and mold. Also, extreme clutter can make you feel stressed or embarrassed, and it can be tough to have friends or family over. So yes, clutter has different levels, and when it gets really bad, it can be dangerous, not just to your physical space, but also to your mental health. It's so important to keep an eye on it and take steps to manage it before it becomes too overwhelming. Whether it's cleaning up a bit every day or asking for help if it's too much to handle. Dealing with clutter is a big step forward and towards a safer and happier living space.
In your book, Put That Stuff Down Too, you write about the mysterious link between trauma and clutter. To discover the link is a journey through the mind and body. Can you tell us more about this link and the journey?
Absolutely, I'd love to. In the book, Put That Stuff Down Too, we delve into fascinating yet often mysterious link between trauma and clutter. This link is not just about physical spaces, but a deep-seated connection that affects both our mind and our body. Let's start with trauma. Trauma can be an overwhelming experience that leaves a lasting impact on both our mind and our body. When we go through something traumatic, it's not just our thoughts and feelings that are affected. Our body holds onto these experiences too. This is where the concept of the body keeps the score by Bissell van der Kolk comes in. Our muscle, our breathing, and even our posture can carry the weight of past trauma. Now, how does this connect with clutter? Often clutter becomes a physical manifestation of the internal chaos caused by trauma. When someone is struggling with unresolved trauma, there's emotional issue, and it can be difficult for them to organize and manage their physical space because how the stress hormone, cortisol, is affecting and slowing down the executive function, like planning, sorting, organizing. So clutter in this case is not just an external issue, but a reflection of the internal turmoil. It becomes a barrier both physically and emotionally, a way of creating a buffer or a sense of control when everything else falls out of control. The holistic decluttering journey is a journey that requires a shift in paradigm, a new way of understanding how we interact with our surrounding and our past experiences. Psychologically, it involves exploring the underlying cause of why we hold on to things, why we kept those thousands DVDs, for example. It requires a paradigm shift in how we view our possession and our attachment to them. Physically, it involves the act of decluttering itself, which can be both challenging and therapeutic. It's about learning to let go, not just of the physical item, but also the emotional baggage that they represent. This journey is not a simple or straightforward one. It's about understanding and healing from past trauma and redefining our relationship with our physical space. By addressing both the mind and the body, we can start to break free from the cycle of trauma and clutter, leading to a more organized, peaceful, and fulfilling life, but also learning to be able to maintain that space, tidy and welcoming.
Valerie, I am just mesmerized by the link between trauma and clutter, how the mind and body are both taken in and experience the trauma, and how you have been able to plan a program to help people find that life of joy again. It's an amazing story, and I'm so happy that I was able to do well myself. Well,
Thank
we'll
you.
go on with our questions now. You mentioned paradigms. In your book, you write that it is crucial to define the term paradigm. Can you share a definition with us and why the paradigm is crucial?
Sure. Let's talk about what a paradigm is. Think of a paradigm as the way you see and understand the world around you. It's like wearing a pair of glasses that shapes how you view everything. This includes your beliefs, your idea about how things works, and what you think is important. In our book, we say it's really important to understand your own paradigms, especially when it comes to clutter and how to organize your life. This is because the way you think about your stuff, your space, and even your past experiences affects how you deal with clutter. For example, if you believe that keeping lots of things just in case you need them someday is good, that's part of your paradigm. This belief may make it harder for you to throw things away, leading to clutter. But if you change your paradigm and start believing that it's better to have only what you really use and love, it becomes easier to let go of the extra stuff. Another example can be thinking you are not worthy. In that case, people often think that they are not worthy of a nice, tidy, and welcoming place as well. This belief may make it harder for you to get started at cleaning and maintaining a tidy home. But if you change your paradigm and start believing in yourself and that you are worthy, it becomes easier to achieve your goal of making your home welcoming and peaceful. So understanding and sometimes changing your paradigm is crucial because it helps you make better decisions about your stuff. It's like changing the glasses you wear to see things in a new, clearer way. This can help you declutter not just your home, but also your mind, making life simpler and most enjoyable.
And that is something we all want, a simpler and more enjoyable life. In our last episode, you shared a definition of stress with us. Could you share that definition with us again?
Of course. So stress is the body's natural response to challenges and demands. It's a physiological and psychological reaction That happens when someone perceives something different between the demands placed upon them and their ability to meet those demands. While stress can be a motivator, it becomes problematic when it is excessive or chronic. That means when it stays too long or when the stress is too high, like panic attacks. That leads to negative impacts on your health and well-being.
Now, could you please share with us what cortisol and executive functions are?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First, let's talk about cortisol. Cortisol is a chemical in your body that we often call the stress hormone. When you're in a stressful situation, your body releases cortisol. It's like an alarm system that gets your body ready to deal with the stress. It can make your heart beat faster, give you a burst of energy, and help to focus. But if you have too much cortisol for too long period of time, like when you're stressed all the time, it can make you feel tired and anxious and even getting sick. Now, the executive function, okay, they are in the frontal lobe here. They are like the boss of your brain. There are a set of skills that help you do things like planning, focusing, remembering instruction, and juggling multiple tasks successfully. Think of them as the control panel in your brain that manages your thought and action. When you have good executive function, it's easier to stay organized, make decisions, and control your emotion. But here's the thing. If you're always stressed and have too much cortisol, it can mess with these executive functions. It can be harder to think clearly and make good decisions or remembering things. That's why managing stress is so important. It helps keep your executive function working well so you can handle your daily tasks better.
Now that we have an understanding of these definitions, can you tell us the relationship between stress, cortisol, and the executive functions?
Absolutely, that's one of our favorite subjects. So think of our brain like an office where executive function are the manager. Okay, they're in charge of making sure everything runs smoothly, like planning your day, solving problems, and making decisions. Now, when you get stressed, it's like an emergency situation in the office. Here's where cortisol comes in. When you're stressed, your body sends out cortisol like the alarm system. It's meant to help you in short bursts, kind of like a quick energy boost to handle the emergency. It's like the office getting extra coffee and energy drink during a crisis. In small amount, the cortisol can actually help your brain managers, your executive function, work better. But it makes them more alert and ready to tackle the problem. But if the stress doesn't go away and you keep producing cortisol, it's like having too much coffee or energy drink. Eventually, it starts to cause problems. The managers, your executive functions, get overwhelmed. They have trouble focusing and planning and making good decisions. Imagine the office workers are now too jittery and anxious to work well. So, a little bit of stress can make your brain's manager sharp and efficient, but too much stress and too much cortisol can make them less effective. They may start forgetting things, making mistakes, and taking longer to do tasks. This is why keeping stress at a manageable level is really important. It's like making sure the office has just the right amount of coffee, enough to stay alert, but not too much that everyone gets jittery. When you manage stress well, you help your brain manager do their best work, which means you can think clearer, plan better, handle your day-to-day tasks more effectively, like decluttering. So when the stress increases, there's more cortisol produced. That slows down the executive function, your manager, making it hard to maintain a tidy place. So then the clutter increase the stress again, because your manager is trying to figure out what to do with all the clutter surrounding. And then it worsens the symptom of trauma. It's like a wheel that keeps turning. The trauma, okay, the incident that happened, brings some stuff and clutter because the executive function has difficulty to manage. And then that stress increase and bring more cortisol that bring more symptom of trauma, creating a difficult cycle to break. But the good news is that we can get in an holistic decluttering journey to break that cycle and feel better, as well as taking control of our home and our life.
That is good news.
It is. And you're a living proof of it. Thank you so much, Tammy, for coming and discussing such important topics. Your insightful questions have really allowed us to delve deep into understanding the nuances of stress, cortisol, and executive functions. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here and share this space with you and all the listeners. And to everyone tuning in, I can't thank you enough for your time and attention. If you found our conversation today helpful or enlightening, I encourage you to follow this podcast for more insightful discussion like this one. And please, please feel free to share it with friends and family or anyone you may think they will benefit from our talk today. Your sharing helps spread knowledge and awareness, which can be incredibly powerful. Also, if you have a moment, I'd be grateful if you could leave a review. Your feedback not only supports us, but also helps others discover this podcast. Reviews can guide future topics and discussion, ensuring that we're providing content that truly resonates with you. Once again, thank you, Tammy. And thanks to each one of you listening. Your engagement and support mean the world to us. Keep listening, sharing, and exploring these vital topics with us. Until next time, take care and stay curious.